Hi everyone, it's great to see you, and a special shout out to Nia for their wonderful request of a video about writing the GED reading response, basically the extended essay RLA response. Thank you for the request. I thought that was a great idea for a video. Folks, we're always open for requests, so let us know what you want to learn, what you need to learn. This video today will go a little bit more in depth and longer than some of our videos because I'd like to address a few different aspects of writing this essay for your GED. Please be sure to leave any questions and I'll get back to you right away. Here's what we're going to cover in this video: 4 aspects of writing this particular essay, which you typically get about 45 minutes to write when you take your GED test. We'll first look at just what is this prompt really asking for. The prompts are typically pretty similar, so we can decide ahead what do you want to focus on, what do you want to not focus on in that 45 minutes. Then we'll look at, okay, what are you supposed to do with the 2 texts that they give you? How can you organize your own answer? And then how do you use quotes from the text in your answer? So my hope is that by the end of this video, you'll be totally ready to ace this test. So let's start by looking at the very typical prompt where typically you will be asked to compare 2 different arguments made in what they will call 2 different texts. It's kind of confusing, but anything that uses language can be referred to as a text. A set of lyrics, an email, a brochure, right? So when they say 2 texts, they're talking about these 2 samples that you have to read first. What I want to talk about the prompt, though, is that there are some things that you do not need to talk about in this paper. So analyze the 2 arguments. They're going to give you 2 things to read. They want you to study, oh, what argument are they both making? And then say your essay is not which argument is better, which argument is right, which argument do I agree with. None of that is what you're supposed to talk about. You don't need to cover those things. You have one thing to cover: which argument has better support, right? So again, it doesn't matter whether the argument is right or wrong or fits with your opinion. You're just analyzing how well those 2 writers supported their point. So everything you talk about in your paper will be about how they did or did not give good evidence. So you are talking about one position being better than the other, and then you yourself have to give relevant and specific evidence from both sources, right? So it's a little confusing because you've got these texts that you're talking about. You need to quote them, showing how they did or did not use evidence well. I'm going to show kind of a picture version of this that I hope makes things a little bit easier. So you have your 2 texts. Maybe it's 2 emails, maybe it's a letter to the editor, and a briefing. It could be any 2 things they ask you to compare. Typically, the question is the same, that you are not saying which argument is better, but which is better supported. Here's what I would probably do with that. First, I would look at my 2 texts and think, okay, what's the argument of each one and what support do they provide? And now my role here is to decide, okay, A is better supported than B, or B is better supported than A. That's it. We don't have to talk about anything else. So use your whole 45 minutes to figure out what's the thesis, main point, central argument of each text, each thing that you're reading, and then what kind of support do they give and which is better. So I think it's worth taking a moment to jot down the support they give so that you can analyze which one's better. So here's how I would approach the question. I would say, all right, text A, they reference a study, some research, and an expert. We also have to consider, number 4, just because there are quotes and facts doesn't mean they're relevant. You do want to be judging, is this information relevant to their argument? Because sometimes people give a reason that doesn't really fit with the argument. So that's less strong. So maybe when I go back and compare the 2, I say, you know what, text A was so strong by research B, whatever research they brought in, they did a great job. But honestly, text B used a better study, a better expert quote, and showed more relevance. I think I'm going to argue that text B is better supported. Okay, so what do I do next, right? I've come to this decision about which text I think is better supported, well, I'm going to make my thesis. By the way, we'll link it above. There is a good video on this channel about writing an academic essay in English, and it includes how to write a thesis statement. So feel free to reference that. What I would do here is your thesis is basically, this argument is better supported than this one for these reasons. Or this one is better supported than this one for these reasons. So my next step after I've decided which argument is better supported is I'll write a thesis to that effect. A thesis saying that, and then I'm going to use that thesis as an outline for my paragraphs. We're going to walk through all that real quick right now. So remember from the last slide, I decided, well, study D, expert F, and this idea of relevance were really great in the second example, the second text. So my thesis now, argument B is better supported than argument A, which you might put the title, right? The letter to the editor is better supported than the email, etc. Based on these three reasons. Its study was better, the expert, and there was more relevance. So all I had to do was take my analysis and turn it into a thesis statement. If you'd like some help writing your thesis statement, we'll link above to this. You can see the thumbnail here, writing an academic essay in English. There's a section in there on how to write your thesis. So now I have my thesis. I have my argument, my central point. I can just use that to create my outline for my paragraphs. Let's look at how to do that. We've got argument B is better supported than A based on these three reasons. Well, here's my outline. I'm going to open, and this is that kind of that 5-paragraph essay style, which is a little overdone, but when you have 45 minutes, it's true, tried, and trusted. So we can stick with it where your first paragraph will introduce and claim your thesis, and your fifth will wrap up. And then I'm going to just do one paragraph on each of my three reasons. Not reasons why one argument is better or is correct, but reasons why one argument is better supported, right? They've got better quotes, better evidence, better examples. And now I just have to write out those paragraphs. As I do that, though, remember we had that requirement of using specific evidence, quotes from the text. Let's talk briefly about how you would incorporate a quote into your own paragraph, because the three in the middle here, they're going to need quotes, right? We can't just say, oh yeah, argument B is so good because of this excellent study. We actually have to quote something. So here's what to do with your quotes. We don't want to just stick them in the paragraph, right? They have to flow. So here's my approach that I do when I'm using quotes to make them flow. I begin every paragraph with a topic sentence, of course, and we can link to that as well. It'll be on the next slide if you want to review how to do that. Then I'm going to have a lead-in where I'm going to connect from my topic sentence, get my reader ready for the quote that's coming, get all set up for the quote so it doesn't just pop in out of the blue. Then I'll put the quote there, referring to my citation. And then I'm going to explain the quote, again, working with flow for the reader. Why was that a useful quote? How did that support what I said in my topic sentence? How did that support my whole point in this paper? So we have topic sentence. The second example also provides stronger support than the first because they refer to experts. This example of one body paragraph here, right? By referring to scientists in the field, the writer's argument is stronger. This is me explaining why is this evidence so important. That's your whole goal with this paper, is to say this text used good evidence. Let me explain how. So you want your words in there saying why it was important. For example, and I'm making up facts and names here, the second argument quotes scientist, she's an expert, as saying, studies have consistently supported providing a later school start time, and then I would put where I got that. Expert's opinion supports the argument by providing scientific data in its favor. So it's a 4-step process within each of your body paragraphs. Topic sentence, lead to your quote, give your quote, review why your quote was relevant and useful, how it supported your point. If you do those 4 steps for all those body paragraphs, you'll be in great shape because you will have not only analyzed which argument is better supported, but you will have shown that with your quotes. So let me add one more thing about the writing. is that there are a couple more good resources. So you do want to start every body paragraph with a topic sentence. Check out this link to a topic sentence. And then if you look in the GED instructions, you can see other areas of how they're going to grade you. And one of those is sentence variety. We talked all about what to include, the content, the organization, and the quotes. As you craft and write your sentences, you don't want them to all sound the same, not all the same shape. So check out this other video on different types of sentences you can put in there to make sure you also get high marks for using interesting sentences. All right, so let me know what other questions. Thank you again, Nia, for this excellent request, and I hope to talk to you all soon.